Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay?
Now you're more fluent.
He got free!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
All of the streams are active. Okay, excellent. The YouTube is back up. Wonderful. That's great to see. Hey, Facebook is working with me. We here on the Facebook. Let's go live. Let's get the Facebook on. It's a beautiful thing. And we should be on Twitter. We should be going live on Twitter as well. Yes. The Twitter is live as well. Okay, can we complete it with the Twitch? Is Twitch on and popping right now? Oh my goodness, folks. We're 4 for 4 right now. We're 4 for 4. Welcome to Sand City Sports. I am your host, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King, and we are back again to bring you all the sports and current events, news stories that you need to know, folks. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope show to step to. I've been out of the mix for a little bit, but I'm back writ large, thrilled to be where I need to be on Sand City Sports, delivering the news commentary. We got a lot to get to. And first of all, I just want to apologize because my last live was in May, and we doggone near, we 2/3 of the way through June now, and so it's been too long of a time. But we're back into the mix. And it's a beautiful thing. We have an NBA champion to celebrate. There was a parade yesterday in the Commonwealth in Boston. Bananas. Okay, number of my friends went up. I did not get a chance to go to the parade. Apologies in advance. But it was, listen, it seemed like 16 years. Boop, boop, boop. And we back on it. And this is the second finals in 3 years. And the whole core is coming back. Yes, Derek White will be back into the mix. No doubt about that. You saw his tooth got fixed up too. That was shout out to the Celtics medical staff. Shout out to the dentist that they obviously, the tooth was looking brand new. And he said he would have taken some hockey punches to get a championship, and we know that that's the case. So the parade, we had a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I'm acting like I was there. I wasn't there. I'm low key disappointed in myself, but I just saw so many friends that I knew that made the time to get up to Beantown. We're gonna make it. I did some traveling on the hoops, in terms of hoops myself. I just got back from Babson today. I was at the NEPSEC showcase up at Babson, which was in terms of the Utes, the stars of tomorrow. It was a great second day of that tournament. But you know what I mean? There's so we had this parade one day. And then now the prep kids are getting it in, getting ready for the live. It is a live session that they had today. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I just want to, it's generational. It's historic, all of those things. I love that the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, has just been pumping up the Celtics and going to the games. And even when they're away, going, the TD Garden was packed. Gillette Stadium was packed, for Tom Brady, and neither one of them had a live sporting game. All right, so that's giving you an understanding of why Boston is the number one sports city in America. That's giving you an understanding of why the city of champions, that moniker can return to the Commonwealth. We are going to talk about some historical things that sports brings people together, right? And it's something that it allows us, and I am going to connect the cultural piece, all right, because I'm not just talking about Banner 18 and the fact that the Celtics have the most all time, and what Brad Stevens has done in terms of constructing this roster. Yes, shout out to Brad Stevens, shout out to Wick, can't pronounce his last, Grossbeck, apologize, but in terms of ownership that's willing to spend, how they have gone through adversity to get back up here, right? Okay, because this team, this core group, did make to the finals in 2022, and they split with Golden State. I know they won the first game in Golden State. Golden State won the second game, and then it was 2-2. Golden State won game 5, won game 6, home in Boston. Tough, right? Tough for another team to celebrate a championship on your home floor, folks. But we don't forget that. Okay, we don't forget in terms of, so this is a team that really could have three in 3 years if you're honest. But they weren't the favorite against that veteran Golden State team, and you saw that that experience was needed. Okay, folks, and then we're going to go to last year, a team. This Celtics team should have went to 3 straight finals. All right, I'm celebrating what's going on in 2024. I'm already looking ahead to 2025, not just me, but the entire sports world, because the Celtics are the favorite to win the championship in 2025, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. But in terms of this Celtics team, should have knocked the Miami Heat out last year in a series where the Miami Heat were not healthy and went up 3-0. Went up 3-0. We're going to be talking about the Stanley Cup championship, right? Florida Panthers were up 3-0. Now we're going to a game 7. Okay, so hockey is off the charts. Don't play hockey. Cannot skate. Need help when I skate. People in town that have seen me skate know you want to talk about trepidation, fear for a grown person. When you put me on the ice, okay, hamstring, ACL, MCL, Achilles. Thank goodness that I made it off the ice without a major injury. But how they make, I just had a tremendous respect for just people that know how to skate, hockey players, and everybody else. We're going to talk about the NHL because that's bananas going to a game 7. And NHL playoffs is just off the charts year in and year out. Regular season and postseason have no correlation in how they do what they do in the NHL. But folks, fact of the matter is, teams never come down from 3-0. And Dallas Mavericks knew that. But the Celtics might have been the first team to come down from 3-0. And frankly, they should have been. And we all know that. Because they had game 7 at home in Boston. They got mollywopped. They got clobbered last year against a Miami Heat team that wasn't even doggone healthy. They didn't have Tyler Hero. Celtics team should have went to 3 straight finals. Wouldn't have been the favorites against Golden State. Wouldn't have been the favorites against Denver last year. But this team was the favorite, and you saw why they're the favorite, and they're going to be the favorite next year and for the foreseeable future. And that just goes in terms of how people get down and do what they do. A lot of people are going to deserve need shout outs. Okay, let's start with the players first, and then I'm going to go into the front office. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. All right, the Jays. Oh, what is up, bro? Bro, you came through just like, man, what's up? Kind of surprised me. How we doing?
Okay.
Good to see you, my man.
Pop up on you.
Yeah, you popped up. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking. You get yourself straightened up. Get yourself. I see the Patriots action. We're talking Celtics championship right now. So get your screen set now. All the rest of that stuff. Thank you so much for being here. Add a tremendous amount to the show. Much love and much respect. My bro is back. In his wonderful apartment in AZ. Yup, that's right. Okay, the Celtics. You're right. And I actually had the privilege of being with my brother at his resort. He came down and he did it in style. They were out at the Ocean Edge Resort in Brewster, and so I got it. They were out there. I was running errands back and forth that day, doing some landscaping, getting things in order. But we I was there for the second half, which was back and forth, but that was like a moment, being with my bro, being with my mom, his wonderful girlfriend Lenidra, and just to see the Celtics win banner 18. So he's going to get himself set up. Tremendous that he can be here with us. But bro, and jumping in any time, I'm just talking about this team and the respect that I have for a number of people, and I'm starting with the Jays, J and J. Okay, JB and JT.
Okay.
Because the fact of the matter is this: the individual stuff means nothing. Okay, so Jason Tatum was the conference finals MVP in 2022. That went to Jaylen Brown in the conference finals against Indiana in 2024. The finals MVP, I thought it could have gone to Tatum. They doubled up with JB. It would have been great if they would have just spread the love. Shout out to the Oscars that spread the love, bro. I just want to make one more point before you jump in, right? The Oscars spread the love. I'm going back a couple of years, folks. But if you haven't seen Dallas Buyers Club, Matthew McConaughey, you need to see it because it's an outstanding film. Okay, why am I talking about this? Because when that was up for Best Picture, Matthew McConaughey won Best Actor, Jared Leto won Best Supporting Actor, and they both deserved it. But the Oscars spread the love and gave 12 Years a Slave, Steve McQueen Project, Brad Pitt Project, Best Picture. They spread the love. Both of those films are all-time greats. There's no two ways about it. 12 Years a Slave is an all-time great film. And Dallas Buyers Club, yes. Shout out to Gray Warfield, Sweet of the Juice Productions. I didn't even know anything about Dallas Buyers Club until he put me onto it. Okay, and I couldn't, I had seen 12 Years a Slave. It had a tremendous impact on me. It's one of those really deep movies that you can't watch unless you're in a certain mood. But that year, the Oscars spread the love. Dallas Buyers Club, 12 Years a Slave. Why am I talking about this? Because the Oscars did not spread the love when Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption, and Pulp Fiction, also Jurassic Park, were all up for Best Picture. What did the Oscars do that year? I think this was 1994. They gave every single doggone award to Pulp Fiction. That's right, folks. Shawshank Redemption got no major awards from the Oscars. Pulp Fiction got no major award from the Oscars. Can you believe that? Ridiculous. Back to the Celtics. Bro, I'm going to let you jump in. I would have liked to have seen Jason Tatum. I would have liked to have seen Jason Tatum win Finals MVP just to spread the love. JB got the conference finals. JT gets the NBA finals. You know what I mean? But it doesn't really make a difference because there's not going to be any of the in-between the team nonsense. We're not going to see any. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro.
That's what the media is trying to create, that jealousy, beef, envy, and it's not there. You know, I feel like we filmed the documentary beginning of the season on the Celtics, so I cannot wait for that to come out like Last Dance style and won it all. So that's gonna be amazing. We're going back to back, man, and just you heard it here first. I've been screaming it all year, but I'm saying it right now. We are going back to back, baby.
Indeed. And that's from the standpoint we're going to, well, you know, this team is all coming back. Derek White, they're going to re-sign Derek White. You know, and Derek White is, again, Brad Stevens, a departure. You know, Brad Stevens is moving a little bit different than Danny Ainge, and both had their successes. But, you know, Brad Stevens has made incremental moves, whereas Danny Ainge was more inclined to go big game hunting, to get a Kyrie Irving, to possibly lure a Kevin Durant, right? That Brooklyn team could have been in Boston if, you get the right Kyrie Irving. You know what I mean? He's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of a personality. You got Mr. Hyde, and so he went off, and him and Kevin Durant ended up in Brooklyn. But that could have easily been a combination in Boston. My point is, Brad Stevens, he's made moves in season to give up draft capital, which Danny Ainge didn't want to do. So he gave up. Nobody remembers that trade. You gave up Romeo Langford. Also, they gave up. There was a wing player that they gave to Dallas and a draft pick to get Derek White. Nobody
got Derek White for a bag of Skittles.
Yeah. So Romeo Langford, up and coming player. I forget the veteran player that they sent down to Dallas and a first round pick. But Derek White just transformed this team, and he had so much to do with the Celtics getting to the finals in 2022 because he is more of the Celtics lacked a pure point guard, and Derek White is not a pure point guard, but he's a better point guard than Marcus Smart, who is a defensive oriented scoring two. Marcus Smart, for all, and hurts my heart, you know what I mean, and he's in Memphis, he's in a good situation. Would have been great to have him on this team. By the way, folks, I'm not counting Marcus Smart to be back on this team. Yeah, I said that. The same way that Big Al came back to the Celtics after he was traded for Kemba Walker and, took a little bit less money to be back in Boston, a championship team. Marcus Smart could return to the Celtics. That's a possibility that I'm saying that. Okay? If, depending on how things work out in Memphis, and if Memphis continues to go sideways and Marcus Smart wants a new home, okay, I could see the Celtics welcoming him back and him coming off the bench and continue, i.e. now Marcus Smart's not the same level of player as Bill Walton, but in that type of a scenario. But there's two ways about it that Derek White is much more of a pass first and run the offense type of a player. And where am I going with this in terms of your point, bro, in terms of back-to-back championships? Drew Holiday is a quintessential point guard. If you look up point guard in the dictionary, there's a picture of Drew Holiday. This is an NBA champion now 2 times. This is an Olympic gold medalist. This is a multiple-time All-Star. Drew Holiday is a pure point guard. By the way, we know he can score. He scores when he needs to, right? Phoenix Suns, bro, I'm sorry to bring this up. Bro, you cut me off at any time. But the Phoenix Suns were up 2-0. And Drew Holiday did start that series off shooting poorly from beyond the 3-point line. But what happened once he found his groove? They won 4 straight. End of story. Never mind the steal. Never mind the steals that and it's not about Devin Booker and him. Drew Holiday stealing the ball because Drew Holiday still stole the ball from whoever the heck it was, Tyrese Halliburton, whoever he stole the ball from in Indiana, and he got an offensive rebound in another game against Indiana to secure that win. He makes huge plays, energy plays in big moments, defensively, passing wise. So this Celtics offense and why it's a juggernaut, never mind the fact that they shoot a bunch of threes and analytics. That's not the point. They take high percentage shots, right? Golden State Warriors years past, analytics, they led the league in open, whatever the statistic was, passing up a good shot for a great shot. The extra pass to, one guy who's open when the guy is kind of closing out, but then making the extra pass to a guy that's just absolutely wide open. Those are the shots that the Celtics are manufacturing within their offense. Why? Because they have two, not one, two point guard, two-way players to just run things. The Celtics team could have won a championship, and I'm not, they could have won the championship. And then hold on. Let me preface it. But it just gives you a versatility. I think Drew Holiday is better than Derek White. I'm not trying to go, but he's just better. I'm sorry. Derek White is could be an all-star. The Celtics could have 4 all-stars. Celtics might have 5 all-stars. They could have 5 all-stars. That's kind of crazy, bro. That's kind of a crazy statement. 5 is like half.
No, it's not. They really could, though. You break it down, Derek White is going to Paris this summer. So Derek White is getting exponentially better this summer.
Correct. So we could see them having Derek. But if Derek White's an all-star, then Drew Holiday's an all-star. You can't put Derek White on the all-star team and leave Drew Holiday. They have the same impact.
That's why I'm saying we are going back to back, man. We are going back to back. Load the Brinks truck. I don't care. Put me on the mic. We are going back to back.
Because
what team has a core like that right now? People saying T-Wolves. we do away with the Wolves.
T-Wolves have first of all, the T-Wolves have they're not the same because Rudy Gobert is a defensive specialist. Karl Anthony Towns has to find himself. That front court is not. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are 26, 27. They are in their absolute
That's what I'm saying, absolute prime. Jaylen Brown's 27 years. That's prime. Prime years. So, yes, Anthony Edwards, superstar up and coming. But in reality, Jaylen Brown's better.
That's close. Anthony Edwards, Jaylen Brown. I lean Anthony Edwards. Would I give the advantage to Jaylen Brown? Because they're both super athletic. Anthony Edwards is more athletic than Jaylen Brown. That's not to say Jaylen Brown's not athletic.
He's more
but,
athletic.
They're both elite athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They're both
very
elite
athletic.
athletes. Yeah, what Jaylen Brown has that Anthony Edwards is developing is experience.
Thank you. He's been there multiple times, and he's proven to playing big games, and he wins. So, Ant can get there. He got 5 years, 2 or 3 years. But, that's where I see if we play the Wolves, those two players cancel each other out.
No doubt. They'll both, and then you have, Jason Tatum, he's better than Karl Anthony Towns.
He's better than Karl Anthony Towns.
No, Karl Anthony Towns.
And Chris P. would dog Rudy. I don't care. Rudy could be a year older. Karl Anthony Towns has been in the NBA how long, and he cannot find his what type of player he is. How many years has Cat been in the league?
It's coming up on 8, 9, 10. He's been out. I go back to his time in Kentucky. That's been a minute.
And he cannot find his role. He's out there running around with no self. So
True.
Anything can happen on the West, but the West, nobody really scares me on the West. What teams?
I was scared of the Wolves until Dallas dispatched them, and then the Celtics dispatched of Dallas.
Yeah.
T-Wolves on paper. But saying the T-Wolves, and it's different because Anthony Edwards has accountability and maturity, and John Moran unfortunately does not. But I think the T-Wolves are going to take a step forward, whereas Memphis Grizzlies have absolutely collapsed and are in the state of the Memphis Grizzlies are on the verge of rebuilding. With essentially losing 2 years of John Morant's ascension, right? So the same way that Anthony Edwards, pushed the limit, like the team was not supposed to be in the conference finals. They weren't supposed to bet. Like people have forgotten about Denver. Like Denver was supposed to be like, in the finals again, competing for back-to-back championships. They didn't even make it to the conference finals because they came up against a buzzsaw in Minnesota. Now they're going to continue to progress and evolve. I respect their coach, whose name escapes me now, their ownership.
Finch.
French. The front office actually came from Denver, and Denver has a history of producing great front office guys. Arturas Karnisovas, who is the president of operations for the Bulls, somebody I have a great deal of respect for. And the Bulls are a team. They made some moves that we'll talk about. Billy Donovan's a solid coach. I don't care what anybody says. I don't trust Zach LaVine because he couldn't get along with Billy Donovan. But
Lonzo
Denver
is about to get bought out.
Good. I'd like to see Lonzo go back to the Lakers and come back to LA. I think, he'd be good with the Lakers, him and LeBron, clutch sports, instead of just being out of basketball, period. And we'll talk about, a little bit about that draft class, Tatum's draft class. I saw a meme, and we'll get it up on the screen for people. The Celtics drafted Jalen, and people slandered the Celtics for drafting Jaylen Brown, by the way. Let's not forget that. And people thought he was, and some of the stereotypical things people said about Jaylen Brown that I'm not even going to, that we will get to, because we're going to talk about baseball and what Reggie Jackson said. But people saying that Jaylen Brown was quote unquote too smart. That's not going to make him a good player, and that makes him less marketable. Some people are telling themselves with those narratives that's crazy. That's crazy. So again, all of this love and glamour and hype and just glorification of Duke. So do we say that Cooper Flagg is too smart because he went to Duke and that's going to make him less smart? Cooper Flagg is too smart. Okay. We'll get into that. That because JB has a social consciousness and he's highly intelligent and he does a tremendous amount of activism. By the way, bro, it was awesome. Jaylen Brown is really heavily involved in education, and the Bridge program is a educational platform in Boston. Why am I talking about this? Not only does he show up like at the schools and which is just LeBron does a lot of this stuff in terms of AAU and grassroots, and it just means so much. I was just at a grassroots event today, but Jaylen Brown had the Bridge program in the parade. There was a school bus in the parade, and the students were on the school. It's just crazy. But my point back to what I'm getting at, 2016, people slandered Stevens for drafting Jaylen Brown. 2017, less slander, but Jason Tatum. And look at the achievements for those two versus Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Dragan Bender, and Josh Jackson, who I drafted in my fantasy league. I had high hopes for Josh.
Jackson's out of the league.
A lot of those guys are Dragan Bender. Is he still in the league hanging on?
And Josh Jackson, man, the Suns. Somebody got fined for that pick.
They might have got fired for 2 picks in a row because they picked Dragan Bender and Josh Jackson in back-to-back drafts. And neither one of those guys is on the team and, borderline being in the league, so on and forth. But back to Brad Stevens and how this team was constructed, bro, you know what I mean? It's, we're looking at, first of all, let's one thing at a time. They're the favorites next year. They should be the favorites next year. This team is going to get better. Everybody's coming back. But Brad's, and the players that we have in the team can be developed. They got a big man that I like, African descent. He's a solid.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I like what I'm seeing from him. That's an in-house guy that, you know what I mean? So he kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Portal, or a Jacob Portal, who was a San Antonio guy, developed in-house. And now he's in Toronto, and he's a serviceable big man.
Big man.
Yeah, so
that's really all this team needs is a serve. Like at that point, Crispy P.
Crispy P was healthy this year. He was healthy. So for the majority of the year, and he was healthy last year. And Brad Stevens came and swooped him in because Crispy P had a really good year in Washington.
Really good year in Washington.
Blocking shots. Defending, obviously, hitting the three. And so Brad Stevens swooped in and saw that momentum. And so, people, he had the injury issues and off the court stuff, in New York, and him and Luka didn't vibe in Dallas. But, Crispy P, this ascension started really in Washington. And I don't see it ending now that he's in Boston, the perfect system for him. My point is the Celtics young guys coming up are like, that bench is going to get better. And then, Brad Stevens is going to add another veteran piece. He's going to add some more to the bench.
You know who I'm excited to see? The rookie we drafted last year. he's gonna start once he starts developing. I'm actually want to go. We should go check out the summer league this summer, Dre.
Summer league in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Good thought. D-Tom's out in Vegas when he's not traveling. Or actually, D-Tom isn't across the world. Shout out to my buddy Derek Thompson, works for UFC. Also, shout out to Club Shay Shay, Dana White, most recent interviewee on Club Shay Shay. Got to check out that phone interview. But D-Tom is in Saudi Arabia right now, literally a world traveler, gentle giant. But when he's home, lives in Las Vegas, moved over from San Diego. He doesn't make any. He does what he should, and he goes to summer league. So shout out to checking out summer league. Back to the Celtics. Back to the back-to-back championship reality. It's that this roster is just going to continue to get better, just in terms of playing together, right? What I'm getting at, folks, to put it plainly, if you're looking for the new look Golden State Warriors in the second decade of the new millennium, it's the Boston Celtics. This Boston Celtics team can match, I said it, what Jerry West, the late, and shout out to the late, we've lost some greats that we have to talk about. The late, great Jerry West, talk about Willie Mays. We got some topics to talk about, bro. The you know what I mean? And in terms of, this is like, when we went through COVID, right? The Celtics lost greats. Tommy Heinsohn, Bill Russell, like Sam Jones, like a lot of just of a certain generation at a particular point in time. And, Jerry West, and in terms of, talk about the logo, and then talk about like Jerry West's career as a player, right? Yeah, Michael Jordan's Michael Jordan, but Elgin Baylor and Jerry West were like that for their generation. Okay, so Jerry West as a player, but it's debatable in terms of his contribution. Jerry West as a general manager. Who drafted Magic Johnson? That's right, Jerry West. Who drafted Kobe Bryant? Jerry West again. Who brought Shaquille O'Neal over from Orlando? Jerry West again. Who did the owner of Golden State, who was a owner of the Celtics, Jacob Lowe? My bad. These billionaires, I got to know your names better. Maybe, billionaires, my bad. What's the first thing that he did when he left Boston after winning in 2008, took over Golden State? What's the first thing that he did? He hired Jerry West as a special consultant. Who drafted Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, on and on and on? That's Jerry West. And then Steve Ballmer, richest owner in team sport, headhunted Jerry West and brought him over to the Clippers. You know what Steve Ballmer has done recently, bro? He headhunted Jeff Van Gundy and took him out of the Boston Celtics front office and brought him to the Clippers as Ty Lue's lead assistant. Okay? Where am I going with this? I'm saying it, folks. The Boston Celtics are the new look Golden State Warriors. I said it. Steph, Klay, Draymond, you know what I mean? However you want to break it. Had David Lee back in the day, brought in Iguodala, brought in Harrison Barnes. I'm saying it. Drew, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Crispy P, Big Al off the bench, Peyton Pritchard with the Cape Connections hitting the half-court shots, and the rookies that they brought in, and the players in the player development staff playing for the main Red Claws, and the players that they're going to bring in for free agency. This Boston Celtics team is the new look Golden State Warriors. You heard it here. Maybe first. I haven't heard that take. Maybe I'm the first one, but I'm standing by that take. We're the new look Golden State Warriors. Okay? And just in conclusion, to wrap up on the Celtics, Brad Stevens has some work to do, and he's going to get it done. Because the reason that we didn't go to the 3 straight NBA Finals is because Joe Mazzulla did not have help. And then what did Brad Stevens also do this offseason? He brought in Charles Lee, who's going to be the new coach of the Charlotte Hornets. Charles Lee was a lead assistant for Coach Bud, who should have never got fired in Milwaukee. Is going to be who's new coach? The Phoenix Suns head coach. Bro, jump in at any time. All right, we're losing Charles Lee to take over to be a head coach and do a very good job in Charlotte. Brad Stevens is not going to allow his coaching staff to be depleted again like he did with the MA situation and the Will Hardy going to Utah and Damon Stoudemire going to Georgia Tech. Brad Stevens we need more help on the bench. So Sam Cassell is the lead assistant, not going to allow him to be poached by the Lakers. He's coming back. And then we need another Charles Lee type We need another lead assistant.
Hold on, Brad. You get some water.
Do what you need to do, bro. We need another lead assistant, Brad. Don't allow, because again, we had a situation, and we're not going to have a situation again. Shout out to the Batman chair. So Charles Lee needs to be replaced. We also need a replacement for Jeff Van Gundy, who Steve Ballmer, Daddy Warbucks came and swooped in. Daddy, we need a replacement for Jeff Van Gundy as well. We have two top flight coaches in the organization. That we need replacements for. We got 4 views on YouTube. I appreciate that. Nobody jump in the chat. I shout out the people that are checking us out on YouTube. That means a tremendous amount. Hey, we building it up, man. Building it up brick by brick. I love to do it. There's so many talented people that's out there doing it. I'm just glad to be in the conversation. I'm just happy to be here. I'm glad my bro with the Patriots shirt. I'm going to talk a little bit of Patriots because football is coming up with the quickness. And the Patriots, bro, yes or no? Patriots make the playoffs this year. You know what you want to say.
We need preseason. I need one preseason game.
I like that. I respect your fan. They're not making the playoffs this year. I'm sorry, they're not.
I need one preseason game.
Okay. The AFC is a monster, and the AFC East is also going to be a monster. Miami's going nowhere.
The Bills took a huge step back. Yeah,
we'll see. Less might be more. Stephon Diggs, he was going wild. It worked, and frankly, I don't know if he's going to find a better place than Buffalo because they really allowed him to shine. He wasn't happy in Minnesota.
No, he's gonna find a great place in Houston.
I hope you know where Stephon Diggs needs to go. He needs to go to Dallas.
He's in Houston. What do you mean?
Oh yeah,
TJ. He's just fine.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Crazy takes. I shouldn't even known this. He's in Houston, so he's because his brother plays for the Cowboys, who's outstanding on the defensive side of the ball. So him and CJ are going to do just fine. Shout out to Stephon Diggs, good situation. But I think that with Buffalo, and one of the guys I went to high school with, Joe Young, who was like the Brian Urlacher in our time, just a force of nature, instrumental in us winning the Super Bowl. The last Super Bowl the Barnes Bulls had won, the Red Raiders in 1999. He's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, which kind of suits the way that he played, which was with toughness and reckless abandon, out there in the sub-zero temperatures, so on and forth. So Patriots not making the playoffs, and that's not a knock on the Patriots. It's just the AFC is just crazy. The AFC is just like so much better than the NFC pound for pound, and the AFC East. Aaron Rodgers a full season, Miami full complement, and I think Buffalo so one of those teams is not going to make the playoffs, which is crazy. Aaron Rodgers led a New York Jets team with a tremendous defense, a Miami Dolphins team that's looking to take a step forward, and a Buffalo Bills team that has been in contention, not in contention necessarily for a Super Bowl, but still a very good team. But Gerard Mayo is going to be in the conversation, in the mix, and he's going to have that team doing kind of what they need to do. Let's stay on the Patriots for a second. I thought it was pretty cool. The Tom Brady jersey retirement took place at Foxborough. Jay-Z was there, a whole kit and caboodle. Tom is doing a lot of stuff right now. The Tom Brady roast. Netflix is going to give me $20 million or whatever the heck it was they gave Brady to be roasted. Take the $20 million. Is it a little bit kind of like too soon? Kind of maybe. He just retired it a second ago. Now we're roasting him. Maybe you could have had some time in there. Clearly Tom is not, is filling his schedule however way he can. Filling that schedule up with these different things. But it was cool that he came back and, the Hall of Fame. And just let's, so I feel like there's a lot of fences that's being kind of mended right now, which is good. Willis is on the lookout, which is good. Hopefully, you got to maintain and not knock things over. I might have to jump over there and get it back. But right now, I think he's good. I don't hear him pitter pattering on the floor. Back to the Patriots. I would like to see Bill Belichick on return to the sidelines next year. Bill, let's just I'm seeing Bill in the headlines. For non-football stuff, which is very unusual because Bill Belichick is, and we're going to talk about the Patriots right now. You're seeing it's you don't want, and Willis is doing his Willis things. He's gonna be good. I might have to use my my firm voice just because he's keeping an eye on the neighborhood. But back to the Patriots. Gerard Mayo is gonna right the ship. I'm predicting them to be competitive. I want him to get off on the right foot. But as much as people, and you can jump in on this, there's a lot of pressure on Gerard Mayo. This is a team like they have to win 6-7 games. If the Patriots go 4-13 or 3, you know what I mean? If it's just a bad year, even though Jimmy Johnson, his first year, I'm not comparing Gerard Mayo run for one to Jimmy Johnson, but the Cowboys did win that one game his first year, and they traded Herschel Walker, but then he laid the foundation to bring in Troy Aikman, to bring in Michael Irvin, to bring in Charles Haley, or but they had to have that one bad year. But I want them to be competitive because I feel like people are just waiting for Gerard Mayo to fail, and maybe I'm a little too sensitive, because I'm a supporter of Gerard Mayo. But I think he can do it, and I just think this team, frankly, Bill towards the end was not his best self. So the Patriots are going to be competitive, but they're not going to make the playoffs. Back to Bill Belichick. He spends a lot of time on Nantucket. He has the house over there. Bill, stay out of freaking headlines, right? You've never been in the headlines before your entire career. You've always been an anti-media. I think that's fair to say. Type of person, that lives behind the scenes. I'm saying too much of Bill in the headlines, and it's good to kind of see his personality. This is kind of not a diluted take, but I just want to balance it off. It was super cool that Bill Belichick showed up to Tom Brady's roast. It was super cool that Bill Belichick showed up to Tom Brady being in the Hall of Fame because he absolutely belongs there in those instances. But like just the party boy stuff from Bill Belichick, i.e. the party boy stuff from Robert Kraft, we don't need it. We don't need it because what we need is Bill Belichick as a head coach for another NFL football team to go after Don Shula's record. That's what we need. That's what we need. Okay, and so I'm hoping that happens. And he's going to have to take, whatever, like Bill Belichick, even like Bobby Knight was a great commentator. So I think Bill Belichick could be a great commentator if he wanted to do that this year. He's if you just talk to him conversationally, he's funny, he's engaging. Obviously, he's a brilliant football mind. But either do that or do what my man Tom Thibodeau did and just get in the lab for an entire year. Do what Mike McCarthy did and just get in the lab for a year and just get yourself back ready, energized to go out and interview next year and secure a head coaching job and go after Don Shula's record. Bill Belichick, he's getting up there and he's in his mid-70s. So honestly, the clock is ticking and he should be out there this year. But I don't want to see him on TMZ. Period. Bill, I don't need to see you on TMZ. Stay back. Let Gronk be on TMZ and you be on Nantucket in the bunker, scheming up stuff to return to the sidelines next year. Any further things on the Patriots?
Patriots, Patriots. I don't want to jump ahead too fast because we still got summer. So
Okay, we do still have summer. All right, I jumped over to the Patriots. I'm gonna save. Because we have to talk about Reggie Jackson. That's going to be a little more heavier topic. I'm going to save Reggie Jackson, some things to say on that. We're going to stay in the world of basketball. We're going to knock the basketball stuff out, and a majority is going to be basketball. And we're already 40 minutes deep, so there's no end in sight. This could go close to 2 hours. It is what it is. Shout out to Club Shay Shay. Shout out to these other great podcasts and these people that are doing great things. I just kind of discovered DJ Vlad TV. I don't know if you knew about Vlad TV, bro. I just kind of discovered him. And it's different. It's more cultural, like true crime stuff, but fascinating. His Gilbert Arenas interview was fascinating. Always been on the Club Shay Shay in a lot of respect. Him and Skip were awesome on Undisputed. Now they've parted ways. Undisputed has revamped with Michael Irvin and different, and Keyshawn is outstanding. And he's with Stephen A. Smith, who's doing his thing over at First Take. And then the Stephen A. Smith show, which is also solid. So we're 40 minutes. We're going to do another 40 minutes. And then there might be some time after that because we have a lot to get to. Bro, let's talk about the Lakers. Then we'll go to the NBA draft. What the heck is going on with this JJ Redick situation from your opinion, bro? JJ Redick is similar to a lot of people. Okay, so yeah, cut me off any time. JJ Redick is similar. He's not the same. He's not on the level. Shannon Sharpe is taking over YouTube. He's taken over with Club Shay Shay and Nightcap. Shannon Sharpe is on a whole nother level. Okay, but he is a former athlete that's building up his media brand. So JJ Redick was building up. Old Man in the Three is a solid pod that was doing big things. And then obviously he's an ESPN guy on all their different programs. He's doing the ESPN live coverage. Like he's like ESPN who's been firing everybody, like relied on him. And he had one of those coveted few like ESPN spots as ESPN, continues, their whole brand and model continues to shift. So JJ Redick as a former athlete that was doing media was like a first team player. He was a first team player. So I'm kind of curious why he's leaving that to take this job with the Lakers that, for all intents and purposes, as much as let me just get my take. Let me just say this how I'm going to say this. JJ Redick is not going to be an effective coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. And I just want to be clear about that. I'm going to be clear about some. It has nothing to do. I have a tremendous amount of respect for JJ Redick, the person, as I just said, and just listen to his pod, listen to who he is as a person, challenges he overcame at Duke. Take a look at his regiment when he played in the league, how he played 15 years in the league, how disciplined he was. Take a listen to that. It's fascinating. So JJ Redick, the person, freaking A+. JJ Redick, the coach, F-. This is not going to work. Period. It's not going to work. Okay, from the standpoint that it's never worked. Magic Johnson years ago wanted to coach because he's a basketball guy. It doesn't translate. Great players do not make great coaches. Jerry West, for a time, was a coach before he went to his rightful place in the front office. And JJ Redick is not even a great player. But that's not even the point, because, Doc Rivers wasn't a great player. But Doc Rivers, for all of his, Doc Rivers is a serviceable coach. He's a good coach. He's not a great coach. He's a good coach. That's why Milwaukee brought him in. He knows how to coach. Want to know why he knows how to coach? He's been doing it for 20 years. Bro, I don't know if your computer, if the battery is low or, is it hooked up to power?
Why?
Because I can see you, but it's a little bit blurry.
I got full
power?
Full battery. Hold up.
Okay.
Yeah, I got full.
Right. Cool. Yeah, it's not the screen, like the resolution. Sometimes if the battery, but it's good. I can see you. It's good.
It's not plugged into power, but I got full. My battery is full.
All right. Maybe sometimes if you plug it, like I keep it plugged in just so it continually, because it being the live will kind of maybe take it down a little bit. But the connection is 100%. I'm not casting aspersions. You got good lighting. I'm not talking out of school. Back to what I was saying about JJ Redick, and bro, you can jump in. Just cut me up, please. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because it's never worked, and JJ Redick is not going to be the first person to make it work in a high pressure situation. Do we realize that the Los Angeles Lakers are a team in transition, bro? This is a team in transition, bro. They've been in the play in the last 2 years. Are the Los Angeles Lakers content with being in the play-in? Is that their Mount Everest to be in the or to win the play-in tournament and then be in the play-in and get bounced in the first round? Because that's what's going to happen if you're a 7 or 8 seed. You're not going to be the Miami Heat and make it all the way to the NBA Finals. So they've been in the play-in. Their roster makes no sense. LeBron is old. Anthony Davis is injured. They don't have a third person. It's just a bunch of others. Shout out to Shaquille O'Neal. It's just a bunch of others. I love Austin Reed. I love Vanderbilt. I'm happy for D'Lo that he's still in the league and playing good basketball. I like the pieces that they have, but bro, these are pieces. Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell. These are pieces that Minnesota needs to help them win a championship. Anthony Davis, LeBron James are not going to win a championship with Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. You know who they will win a championship with? Drew Holiday and Derek White. Who are they playing with? The Boston Celtics. And 2 young people in their prime. The roster makes no doggone sense. They're in the Western Conference, which is stronger than the Eastern Conference. Noticeably. even though my New York Knicks are coming up, even though the Indiana Pacers, like the Eastern Conference has teams that are on the come up. The Western Conference just has a bunch of just teams that are filthy. Denver, Minnesota, Dallas showed you what the heck they can do. The Kings are going nowhere when they're healthy. Okay, the Suns still have all this talent. Then you have your ascending teams, right? San Antonio's not going to stink anymore. Memphis, if they're healthy, they're young and their window is there. Who else? New Orleans has a team, right? Houston is ascending with Ime Udoka. Utah is going to get good eventually. And then you have the Lakers, a very marketable, fashionable, bad team. And now you bring in JJ Redick. You know something on this topic? So again, and I'm going to tell you, like I told you, how much respect, A+, F- as a coach. Okay? I told you Magic Johnson couldn't do it. Jerry West couldn't do it. It took, I believe Scott Brooks was an assistant coach. I know he was an assistant coach because Sam Presti is not going to make a move like this. Scott Brooks put his time in before Sam Presti brought him in to coach Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. And Scott Brooks is the same type of a player, you know, like a role player over a number of years. Doc Rivers, again, you know, I believe these guys had time as an assistant, but it just took Doc some time in Orlando in a low pressure job to get, you know, before he comes to the Boston Celtics to be a champion. Jason Kidd, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, did not do a great job as the coach of Brooklyn, did not do a great job as the coach of Milwaukee, getting the big jobs to start with. Derek Fisher did not do a good job as the coach of the Knicks. Big job. And I think that's what's going to happen with him. You look at Derek Fisher. Isaiah Thomas, who had administrative experience. Isaiah Thomas ran the CBA, which was the forerunner for the G League, before he became the Knicks head coach. And how did it work out for him as an executive and head coach? Disaster. Steve Nash, another example. Right from the court into coaching. He's not coaching anymore. And he's not in consideration of it doesn't look like Steve Nash wants to coach anymore. He's not trying to be an assistant somewhere like Jason Kidd, because he wants to get a further job. Steve Kerr, he was a general manager before he got that job, the dream job with Golden State, to take that team to the next level after Mark Jackson built them up. It's not going to work with JJ Redick. And, I just think it's going to be a dumpster fire. I think you can just parallel Steve Nash and how it worked out for him. Even though, but I was going to say LeBron James is not as disruptive as Kyrie Irving, but he is. LeBron James is as disruptive as Kyrie Irving to a team. He just doesn't do it overtly, like by just disappearing. He does it through, clutch sports and, subliminals and all the rest of that stuff.
Front office moves. Yeah,
that's how LeBron disrupts. He says, I want you to, puts pressure on a team to do things that aren't in the team's interest, right? LeBron James wanted Russell Westbrook, and then he didn't want Russell Westbrook. And then when the Westbrook situation was collapsing, and by the way, shout out to Russell Westbrook, who was at the Kendrick Lamar concert, bro. We got to talk about that concert. We got to talk about the whole Kendrick Lamar situation. We'll get to that towards the back end because you need to provide some perspective. But Russell Westbrook was at the Kendrick Lamar concert. DeMar DeRozan was there. It was bananas. We're going to get to that down the road. But he's done it. Russell, I'm happy for Russ that you see when he's in a situation where he has structure, what he can do, because he's been a great asset for the Clippers under Ty Lue's leadership. It was a disaster for the Lakers. And when it became a disaster for the Lakers, what did LeBron want to do? The first thing he could. He told Rob Pelinka to get rid of Westbrook and, trade and as soon as something doesn't work, LeBron wants immediate changes that his previous moves don't allow for the team to do. So that's going to happen when the Lakers start to do poorly. Anthony Davis does not love basketball. He doesn't. I'm sorry. I don't know what Anthony Davis, whose underperformance is more shocking, Anthony Davis or Karl Anthony Towns? Because they're both Kentucky, first pick people that are just not living up to what they could be. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. It's because it's just true. I'm not sorry at all for that statement. Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns are both underachieving. Anthony Davis, why is Giannis who Giannis is? Okay, nobody puts Anthony Davis or Karl Anthony Towns on the same level as Giannis, MVP generational player, but they have similar skill sets. What Giannis is achieving, 6'11", long, just you know what I mean, like a Willie Mays 5-tool player. That could be Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns, and it's neither of them. And he's never healthy. And you know, and nothing for nothing, like. I love talking about basketball, but, you know, I'm a Rudy Rudiger type of a person. My point is, like, as much as JJ Redick is praised for his discipline and his, like, regimentation and preparedness, Anthony Davis is, like, not. He hasn't been well prepared. And people close to him, just like he doesn't, you know what I mean? He's got, like, he's got, like, a Ken Stabler. He's just not in great shape. And I'm not sorry for saying it. Because Giannis is in great shape. And that's why he has the MVPs and the NBA championships. You know, Karl Anthony Towns is more durable than Anthony Davis. He's in better shape. So, all the things that I just said, a roster that doesn't fit, good role players, and then aging stars. You know, you know who the Lakers need? They need, I think Lonzo would be great there as just to help Lonzo and just as like, you know, but Lonzo seems to be on his way out of basketball. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true.
I don't think Lonzo even, truthfully, I don't think he plays. I don't see him suiting up. I really don't.
And it's unfortunate, and we can talk about again, and we'll talk about, because I was at a grassroots event, right? Child prodigies, right? Child prodigies have problems in life. They do. They do. And I'm sensitive to it, you know, just on a human level. I'm going to make my takes, and people can get angry at me for my takes as much as they want to. But child prodigies have problems because, you know, that developmental, right? You don't just go from being a 13-year-old to a 20-year-old. I said it. You don't just go from being like an adolescent, and we just throw all of these things on these kids, all of these opportunities, quote unquote, all of this luxuries, and then expect them to just become adults. Lonzo Ball was a McDonald's All-American. Lonzo Ball was a 5-star prospect. You know who was a 0-star prospect and not a McDonald's All-American? Steph Curry. You know who was similar? Klay Thompson. You know who was a 2nd-round pick? Draymond Green. I said it, and I'll keep saying it. I referee. I'm around the Utes. You know, I sometimes make the mistake of godding them up and just, you know, they're a 5-star, right? We're going to talk about the NBA draft. Where the heck is Josh Jackson? Where the heck is Dragan Bender? Why do 60 to 70% of NBA players end up broke? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going there, folks. We're going there. Okay? You can't skip steps, and it seems whatever. But all, you know, Lonzo Ball is the quintessential, to me, one of those, you know, child prodigies that, you know, we could talk about OJ Mayo, right? We can talk about the kid who's with Cleveland now, skinny kid who came up with Shep Holmgren. You know what I'm talking about, bro? His name escapes me. Imani Bates. Talking about Imani Bates. Yep. The list goes on and on. And you know something? And I'm not talking out of school here because, like, fortunately, like, they have not hit rock bottom. But I see, you know, Imani Bates, by the way, shout out to Imani Bates. He's gotten himself on a good path and is like, you know, he's in the G League for Cleveland and he's, you know, he's committed himself to basketball. You know, so he's going to, so that's going to allow him to stay in basketball. Lonzo's just not been healthy in like 4 or 5 years. He was supposed to be the piece. Lonzo was the missing piece for the Bulls to make their jump. And he's just never been healthy since then. So he got his $80 million or whatever the case coming from New Orleans. And then he's just not been in. So I would like to see him go to the Lakers, and maybe he might be the rare person to see this, and maybe he's upset with me. It's not personal. I want him to get on his feet again and to get back in basketball. You're gonna have to be a backup, but like contribute to winning, and then like reform your career. But I just don't know, like, you know what I mean? And it has nothing to do, like, what I'm getting at is I think this is beyond basketball. I just think, and this is, you have to find yourself outside of basketball. Shout out to Gil's Arena. Gilbert Arenas has a lot of hot takes. He also has great perspective on his show, which he's built up, because I follow these things. Gil's Arena and him partnering with King Josiah, who King Josiah built himself up through Twitter and does a great job, and his hilarious memes. So that's just an awesome. I'm happy for them. But Gil's, like, how Gilbert Arenas was just trying to find himself in media, and he had his own little thing, with some pretty cool interviews. He had a really cool interview with Atope, the leader of the Compton Magic. And so Gil's Arena, how it's been built up. Shout out to Underdog. Maybe Underdog comes and discovers me one day. Us, that would be awesome. Shout out to Underdog. But a lot of Gil's Arena, they talks about just like, players in their journey, in from being the man to being a man. And Gilbert Arenas certainly knows a lot about that. After the guns in the locker room, and then testing David Stern, and then being just out of basketball. Right? So Lonzo Ball, I hope you've landed on your feet. I'm saying Lakers. But back to the Lakers in this roster, it makes no sense. And now you have a coach that's LeBron's buddy. And now you're looking at the NBA draft, which is coming up. And the Lakers are going to draft Bronny James. And we talked about Bronny James. You seem to believe in him as a prospect. I do not believe in Bronny James as a prospect. I believe in Bronny James as a person. I think he's a great young man, and he has a lot of talents, and he'll be successful but I think Bronny James' success is going to be in the business world. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do not believe Bronny James is going to be a successful, or however you want to judge it. And maybe this puts me at odds with like the James empire. If it does, so be it. Because I made it clear. Bronny James is going to be a successful person. He's not going to be a successful NBA player. Because it's very difficult to be a successful NBA player. We just talked about guys that were top 4 or 5 picks that were not successful NBA players. Bronny James does not have top 4 or 5 pick level talent. You know what else Bronny James doesn't have? 3 years at Davidson. Right? My hero, one of my heroes, Ken Burns, documentary filmmaker, talks about splendid isolation, talks about taking a vow of poverty and anonymity to produce his projects, which are iconic and historic and lasting. Took him 5 years to do the Civil War. 5 years of poverty and anonymity. Check out the Civil War documentary. It's just one of his many outstanding documentaries. Okay, and this is after he had already won awards. He took 5 years of just grinding and nobody knowing and being broke and the whole 9 yards. Bob Carroll did the same thing for 7 years with the Power Broker. If anybody's interested, shout out to Audible, shout out to the Power Broker. Bronny James spent a semester at USC. A semester. After a good high school career, you've seen him play in high school, like, you know what I mean? He just has not put in the time to be a good player. and he's going to be drafted to one of the most marketable franchises on the planet. It's not going to work. As happy as I am for the family to have this family moment, I just don't see if these things, okay, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you're right and you win Powerball, then you're right. Those are the odds for these things working. Bro, you can jump in at any time. The Lakers, JJ Redick, Bronny James, you're going to, the NBA draft, and this is kind of a segue. I want to talk about the NBA draft a little bit, a couple prospects that I'm interested in. This French invasion, the Wemby wave, I stole that, by the way, from Kristen Peak. Shout out to Kristen Peak, who I went to school with at Nyack back in the day. She is a sports reporter for Yahoo, does a great job covering the NBA draft and the prep circuit. So she's going to be at the draft doing some high-level interviews as she does, and then she's going to leave the draft and go straight to the prep circuit, and she's going to be down in South Carolina for Pete's Jam, and so it's going to be a busy summer for Kristen Peak. Nyack College alum, making the school proud. Willis appreciates that. So on and forth. NBA draft is going to have huge ratings. You want to know who? You want to know why the NBA draft is going to have huge ratings? Bronny James. Bronny James is going to be the star of the night. Far from the top prospect, because it's going to be hard for people to name any other prospect. Right? But ratings, sensation, revenue, LA Lakers or Dallas Cowboys. They're going to be very profitable. They're going to be very interesting, and they're going to be back in the play-in, and then they're going to be out in the first round. And then it's going to happen again the next year. You know who I'd like to see in LA, but he's probably going to pass? Is Trae Young. But you know where I think Trae Young is headed, bro?
Lakers right now. San Antonio.
Yeah, Trae Young's headed to San Antonio to play with Wemby. That's where he's headed. Okay.
Trae Young's headed to San Antonio.
Donovan Mitchell. Does Donovan Mitchell want to go play for the Lakers? Donovan Mitchell's a ball dominant.
Why?
He's a ball dominant,
undersized
two guard.
The Lakers just look like a dumpster fire.
Yeah. So, JJ Redick, much respect, much eyes and attention, and all the rest of that stuff. But that's what I just feel like this is so Hollywood, because let's just try something. Let's just throw a couple $1 million at an indie film and see if it works. See if it works. See if it doesn't. This is like Rocky. This is like Rocky 3. Rocky 4 was pretty good, right? Ivan Drago, I must break you. Does anybody remember Rocky 3?
I just want to know who was on the Lakers list. Like, who was on their target list? Was it Hurley and then just like whatever? Put it in a lot, pick it out of a hat.
Okay, and I'm glad you bring that up, because the Lakers, Danny Hurley would have been a great hire, i.e. Billy Donovan, and how he has turned around. He turned around Oklahoma City, and Billy Donovan's a good coach. I don't care what anybody says. That Oklahoma City team knocked out the San Antonio Spurs and ended essentially their championship window, and they shouldn't have. That conference final should have been Golden State against San Antonio for the and Billy Donovan came in his first year with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and got them to a 3-1 lead up against Golden State. And San Antonio won 67 games that year and was knocked out. And people, that was Billy Donovan. So Brad Stevens is another college guy that's had great success in the NBA. So Danny Hurley would have been a successful NBA coach. There's two things, and I'm borrowing the first take. First of all, the Lakers didn't throw enough money at him. They needed to throw Monty Williams money at him. We're going to talk about Monty Williams and the bag that he has secured. And I'm happy for Monty. I'm upset with Detroit. We're going to get to that. They threw, like, Danny Hurley would have been like the 6th highest paid coach. No. You need to make him like the top 2 or 3. Yes, if you want a coach that can really bring your team back, You're going to have to spend that extra money on the coach that you're wasting on some of your veteran players and your younger players. That's what they should have done. That's the first point that people have made that's correct. You know what the second point is? Danny Hurley is Bobby Hurley Sr.'s son. Bobby Hurley Sr. won 26 state championships in 35, 6, 7 years at St. Anthony's. The Miracle of St. Anthony's. Shout out to Woj. Get it on Audible. Read the paperback copy. It's awesome. St. Anthony's is a legendary program, just like DeMatha and Morgan Wooten. You know how much money Bobby Hurley made in his career as one of the greatest coaches in American history? That's right, none. He made no money. No money. And he was firm on that. Okay? This is my calling. This is my place. I'm not going to take the money to go coach in college and make millions and millions of dollars, or coach in the NBA and make millions and millions of dollars, because Bobby Hurley Sr. is one of the greatest American coaches ever. Period. The same way that Brad Stevens brought in Jeff Van Gundy to be a special consultant, Bobby Hurley Sr. could have got those jobs and made millions of dollars because of his basketball acumen. He said no. You know who that rubbed off on? His sons, Bobby Jr. and Danny. The Lakers should have known full well that money alone was not going to move Danny Hurley at all. They should have known that Bobby Hurley's son was not going to be impressed by money and the bright lights and everything else. They should have full well known that. Even a Godfather offer might not have been enough for that person. Because, by the way, and read the Miracle of St. Anthony's, right? A part of the reason why Bobby Hurley Sr. is who he is, this legend that didn't make anywhere near the money he could have, is because he wanted to coach his sons, and his sons wanted to play for St. Anthony's. Read the book, folks. It's an important part of the book. I might have spoiled a little bit for you there. I apologize for that. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. But that's an important component. Bobby Hurley Sr. established the template and put those pillars in the ground. You're not going to move me for money. This is where I'm growing. This is where I'm planted. This is my calling. Period. And that's why that's a part of his legend, along with the state championships, along with the NBA players that he's, the dozens of NBA players that, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Okay. His sons were the ones that are going to go ahead and get the millions of dollars. That's the generational trajectory. But they're not in it necessarily for the millions of dollars. They're just going to coach at the college level. The sons wanted to coach at the college level and make their market value. And so Bobby is doing a great job for you guys at ASU. And Danny is doing his thing for UConn. Okay? If the Lakers wanted to get a great college coach, they could have called John Calipari. They could have called Bruce Pearlman. They could have called Mick Cronin, who's in LA, by the way. Mick Cronin would have taken the Lakers' job.
Sam Cassell.
He's not leaving Boston. Okay, but yes, Sam Cassell. Right, that's 100% right. The Lakers, they picked the right person, but they didn't go about it in the right way. If you wanted Danny Hurley, you would have had to have made him the highest paid coach and just ironed out all of those other things. He's not impressed by your money and by the glamour. That specific person, you should have known that. I'm surprised nobody in the organization hasn't read The Miracle of St. Anthony's. Okay, so that's the Lakers. Playing on 3. 1, 2, 3. Playing. Done. Okay, NBA draft, and we've been on the Zoom for an hour and 10 minutes. I'm thrilled, bro. We got another
I gotta get ready to shake here shortly. I gotta run out real quick in the street. some
Okay,
business.
I understand. You gotta do what you gotta do. It's only what 7:00 there. It's 10:30 here. So you gotta do what you gotta do. I gotta make myself. I'm looking forward. I got myself an egg salad sandwich, and I'm gonna bust down an egg salad sandwich. I got some production stuff that I'm looking forward to doing. I'm gonna bust down an egg salad. I got my chips. I got the chips. I bought 3, so I got them for $2.50. We got a guest of honor in the house. Herbie is in the bill. We've had guests of honor on, like, so fortunate. You came down for the trip. Herbie here for the trip. Pops coming down for 4th of July. A lot of guests of honor. This is the time to be on the Cape. Summertime, right time. Get your AC set up. I had to set the AC up, though. I had to set the AC up yesterday. The humidity is on now.
You gotta get that AC set up, bro.
Yeah, get the AC set up. Humidity is on right now. So I went to the barbershop. My geometry.
Get that AC. You gotta get
I had
that
to get my
AC
geometry set up. You know what I'm saying?
You see the fresh cut, man.
You got your geometry is set. Your locks are all set. Man, how many years, bro, for the locks? Man. How many years? 6, 7 years?
6. Coming up on 6.
It's coming up on 6 years.
My hair is, I think, 14 inches longer. It's over a foot.
Over a foot. Respect. I'm on my 4th year, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I got to get my year journey. That's an important posting in it. So some important posts that I've been missing. I've gotten away, folks. You don't get old. You don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing. I made the mistake of stop playing, and I got away from my passion projects and my hoops, and it's affected me. It's affected me negatively. So I'm getting back into my passions and doing the things that I love to do, and it helps the other things that you have to do. Do the things that you love to do so you can do the things that you have to do. And so I had to learn that lesson. You know what I mean? So I haven't even posted for my year journey. This is like 5 years of my year journey, and you're on 6 years with your locks. So it's a beautiful. I've
been growing my hair out for, I don't even know. It's been a minute. Maybe 7 years.
It's a movement, man. It's not a moment. It's a movement.
Yeah, it's a movement. That's for sure.
I just wanted to, and bro, jump in with your last takes. NBA draft kind of fascinating because, like, we don't really know these players, and you usually don't go from generational to generational, right? You know what I mean? Like, it was LeBron James in 2003 to Dwight Howard in 2004. So obviously LeBron James is top 2, 3 of all time, and Dwight Howard was a very good NBA player. Let's not forget, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. So 2 Hall of Fame level players in back-to-back years. French invasion continues, bro. Let me just see, who the heck are these guys?
I gotta do some so on our next Zoom, we're gonna talk more about draft because I don't really know much about these guys at all.
Yeah,
to be honest, I don't know much.
Zachary Richard, can't pronounce it. Alexander Sarr, 2 Frenchmen.
I'm saying I don't even know who these guys are. So I gotta do some research. I got get on the road. Might try to get on Twitch tonight.
All right, bro. Let me know if you're getting on Twitch.
City Sports. Thank you for having me.
All right, bro. Thank you for being here.
Let me know when I get home. I just gotta run out real quick.
Okay, do what you gotta do, bro. Thanks for being here. Much obliged. I appreciate you. Have a good evening, bro.
I appreciate you. Look forward to the next one, man.
All right, hit me for the Twitch.
You out?
Hit me for the Twitch.
I will. I'll hit you up.
Peace.
Okay, I'll hit you up a little bit. Peace.
Sounds good. All right, really appreciate my bro for being in here with us. And we got a couple more because we've been going for an hour 13 minutes and no end in sight because there's a lot that we have to get to. So we're gonna keep moving and grooving. Summertime, the nighttime is the right time. So nighttime is the right time. We're gonna keep moving and grooving with this. But I just want to touch on the NBA draft, the French invasion, and we're gonna see these folks for the Summer Olympics. We're gonna see them for the Summer Olympics. And this French team, is a problem. So Zachary Richard, can't pronounce it, a 6'9" wing player. Alexander Sarr, the 7-foot player, is top 2. Reed Shepherd, shout out to Reed Shepherd, respect. I don't even know if Reed wanted to be in this draft, but he's just, and he's only 6'3", but he's a top 3 overall pick. Can't pass it down. I didn't realize Stephon Castle was 6'7", and I didn't realize he was a freshman at UConn. I didn't realize Danny Hurley, they had freshmen like that. So Castle, after the 1 year with Danny Hurley, he's ready for prime time, bigger than I thought. I'm familiar with Matas Boulias as he played for Expressions here in the Commonwealth. So Matas, who's played for a number of high schools, I believe he's originally from Illinois, then went to Brewster Academy. That's how he got the Expressions connection, played for Expressions 1 year. And then he's gone over to the G League. So Matas is a problem, 6'10". He reminds me, frankly, he's been working out with Cooper Flagg. So there's comparisons there between Matas Boulias with Commonwealth connection and Cooper Flagg. Yes, I said it. Donovan Clinigan, they're listing him at 7'3". I didn't realize he was that tall. And I'm kind of, you know what I mean? So huge fan. Donovan Clinigan is another Massachusetts kid from Connecticut, but played for the Spartans, one of our Massachusetts programs that does big things. The Spartans, not on the sneaker circuit, but you got a top 6 pick, so they should be on a sneaker circuit, or you know what I mean. They have an affiliation with EYBL, but Spartans are tough, and it's a great youth program. So happy for them. This kid Cody Williams, the stuff that I've seen from him is bananas. I told you I was at a NEPSEC showcase today refereeing, which was it was a great yearly event that they do. It's been at BAPS in the last 2 years. Hundreds of college coaches, every college coach that you can imagine or organized program had their people there. Some of the head coaches there. Kim English from Providence was in the building. Frank Martin, UMass, was in the building. And it was just a treat. Danny Manning, an assistant coach for Colorado, was in the building. Danny Manning, number 1 overall pick, national champion at Kansas. Just to see him doing his thing today, it was just awesome. And this kid, Cody Williams, out of Kentucky, looks good. Let's go down. Ronald Holland, knew him from the EYBL circuit. Problem at the 9 pick, coming from the G League. This kid, Dalton, can't pronounce it, from Tennessee. Okay, like to see Devin Carter out of Providence in the top in the lottery, and then just a bunch of players I'm not so familiar with. You know who I am familiar with that I don't like that's being disrespected? Okay, Zach Edey. We need more respect on Zach Edey's name. He's going to be a serviceable pro. Oh my goodness, I'm thrilled. Tyler Kolek, 1st round pick. I just ran into his coach, Coach Crotty. Tyler Kolek out of Rhode Island. So he's projected to go in the 1st round. That is going to be awesome. Awesome to see. And let me just talk quickly because I have to do this now, because this is a kid that I refereed personally. Referee Tyler Kolek coming up through the ranks. So Bronny James is 56 to the Lakers. Bronny James is 56. So the draft, are they going to do the 1st round one night and the 2nd round another night? Because there's only 2 rounds. I guess that's so. There's going to be 2 nights for the draft. I would just do. That's interesting because we can only have 2 rounds. So I guess Bronny James is not going to be drafted to the 2nd night, which is interesting. Okay, so this is the first year the NBA is doing it in 2 nights, i.e. the NFL. Quickly with Tyler Kolek, and I'm imagining Big East Player of the Year. He needs to be in Brooklyn for the draft. Drafted in the 1st round. You will see some of these New England people because Coach Crotty most certainly will be in the building. Shaka Smart's going to be in the building, so that's going to be awesome to see. But Tyler Kolek, again from Rhode Island, played for the Middlesex Magic before they got the Under Armour sponsorship. And I don't mind saying this is a kid that was a good player, very skilled. The same way that he plays now at Marquette is the same way that he's always played. All right, he has a silky smooth lefty jump shot. Reminds me of Nick Van Exel. Very heady, cerebral, can see the floor well, strong. So what you see now, Big East, is what we were seeing at the Starland in Hanover. But my point with Tyler Kolek is he was on his way to being a Division III player coach. Excuse me, folks. He was on his way to being a Division III high academic player. And he was good with that. Did not allow that to dissuade him, continue to work and get better and just trust the process. Keyword, trust the process, discipline, regimentation, doing what he needed to do. Middlesex was at, I believe, a zero gravity tournament in Florida during the live period. Tyler was doing what he, trusting the process, playing the right way. And that's when George Mason saw him and was like, okay, this kid has Division I potential. George Mason, a mid-major program. They gave him an opportunity. He had that opportunity going into his senior year at St. George's in Rhode Island. Played very well, was the ISL Player of the Year. I think this was like the year after the pandemic, or the year before the pandemic, because he was at George Mason when the world shut down. And just a, ISL, solid, George Mason, trusting, continuing, improving. Went to George Mason as a freshman, balled out, world shut down with the pandemic. He would have stayed at George Mason, i.e. loyalty, coach bounced, then Shaka Smart came to get him. And now we know who he is, and he's the first round NBA draft pick. Okay, in a few short years. He was on his way to Williams, Amherst, Colby, Bowdoin, Middlebury, right? A New England high academic school. Okay, just i.e. Duncan Robinson, another Middlesex Magic player. Williams. Not Michigan, Williams, then Michigan, then Miami Heat. Also, Cole Swider, who is a high major prospect, is with the Miami Heat now. And you're going to be hearing Cole Swider's name because he's going to get on that roster and do big things. But Cole Swider was a McDonald's All-American finalist and top 50 player. But of the same, Cole Swider is different than Cole Swider's 6'8", 6'9", so he's just different. Duncan Robinson 6'7", 6'8", in that range, but Cole Swider was a different type of a prospect. But with Tyler Kolek, and the same thing, like that's my critique of Bronny James, frankly. It's just, and it's tough when you are LeBron James' son, right? It's tough when you're Alexander the Great, right? Because you're the son of Philip II, who conquered the world, and then Alex. So it's tough when this is your lineage. I'm recognizing that, but you can't skip steps. You still have to go through the process. Tyler Kolek went through the process, and now he's ready for his NBA moment. Super happy, excited, and that's going to be NBA draft coming up. Man, June is just moving. So NBA draft is coming up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But it's an interesting draft. We have a lot of diamonds in the rough, with this NBA draft, and we are going to see that. All right, a couple more. I'm going to finish with Reggie Jackson and baseball. Finish with the topics there. I do need to talk about Aja Wilson and the WNBA. I do need to talk about the Stanley Cup. We've been on this for an hour and a half, and we no end in sight for Sand City Sports. I'm just happy to be here. As I said, this is crazy just for us to have these platforms, to have it set up. Let's just go through. A couple people tuned in on the YouTube. I really appreciate it. A couple people stopped by. Connection is good, and we still moving on the YouTube. Still moving in groove. Okay, I appreciate the people stopping by. A couple people a little bit okay on the Facebook, hit and miss, and we on Twitter a couple people on Twitter. I really appreciate that. So we just gonna continue to move and groove. Hour and a half deep, and I'm not taking my foot off the gas. This might be a 2-hour show. It is what it is because we have to talk about a couple things. Okay, in terms of the WNBA, shout out to the WNBA in terms of securing charter flights. That's a big deal for their teams. Big deal. Revolutionary, right? Has been talked about, and just a little bit of the economics in the WNBA, and in terms of how there were certain teams, I believe the Liberty and the Aces were willing to pay for charter flights for the entirety of the season. But the league, and this is a tough thing, but they made the right decision. The league said no, because that would have given you a competitive advantage, right? So there was money in the pot for these charters, which makes a big deal, makes a difference. It's one difference though. It's not the end of the world. Okay, but it's a nice thing to have, right? Okay, like let's not, you know what I mean? You're flying first class. Like obviously you're a professional athlete, so you're 6'4", 6'5" and above. So the travel is difficult. I understand WNBA players, and then I don't understand. Because the NBA was flying the same way for the majority of its from the 1940s to the 1990s. So for 50 years, the NBA was flying commercial. So let's just remember that. The WNBA is like 20 years old. We got 5 decades of flying commercial for the NBA. So WNBA players, just put that in perspective. Okay? That's number one. And when did the NBA come and get more chartered and that become, okay, Larry, Magic, Michael. Okay. When has the WNBA now come in charter? Caitlin. Okay. So that's the rising tide to lift all boats. The WNBA, under the leadership of the late great David Stern to create the league, and then the continuation with Adam Silver to support the league. Nobody's saying that we shouldn't have charter flights. Okay? Nobody's withholding charter flights from the WNBA. It's based on the economic model. And now the economic model is such to support charter flights. Respect. You have them. It's good. It raises the quality of play, on and on and on. And the WNBA is selling out arenas. The Las Vegas Aces are sold out. And it's great. Now, before I get to Caitlin Clark, the Las Vegas Aces, back-to-back defending champions, have taken a little bit of a step back. Okay, so they are in what seed now? Aces are in the 5th seed with an 8-6 record. The Liberty are looking like they want their time to shine. I'm loving this. The Liberty 14-3, Connecticut Sun are 13-2. And by the way, folks, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, so this might not be familiar to other folks. I hope it's going to become familiar, because if you love basketball, you love the WNBA. It's just there's just no two ways about it. If you love basketball, you love the WNBA. Okay, it's just the two things go together. That's why LeBron James was at the Aces and Liberty game, right? With Dame Lillard was at the game, right? The NBA players, hoopers, true hoopers, support the WNBA, and it's always been the case. Always been the case. Okay, so let's just get that. Let's just make sure that is recognized. Make sure that's recognized. But this season is different because the Las Vegas Aces, who the last 2 years have just been like head over heels in front of the pack, and the Liberty right there with them, with Breanna Stewart coming back to the Empire State. Breanna Stewart from upstate New York, won some championships with Seattle. Her homegirl Sue Bird retired, brought her talents back to the Empire State, and now the New York Liberty. As much as I love the Aces, as much as I respect Aja Wilson and Kelsey Plum and that entire team and the organization, and Candace Parker was with them, and it was you know what I mean. I'm also for spreading the wealth, and so this might be the Liberty's year, and I got no problem with that. So the Liberty have jumped out there. This is their second, 14-3. Connecticut Sun, man, I like this. Connecticut Sun kind of coming out, and I wasn't familiar with them, but they're at the top of the league at 13-2. And so just so a lot of parity, a lot of competition, a lot of great players, and it's a beautiful thing. And the WNBA is just a great league. We love, we respect, we support. And I'm glad that there are these changes that are coming into the game, charter flights. Let's get the revenue goes up. We can do more for the players. And it's just great for the game of basketball writ large. Our young girls and ladies have something to aspire to get to that level. And yeah. The salaries are growing, and the max contract is like $250,000 or whatever the case may be, comparable to what the players make in Europe. But there's nothing in the world like the platform of the WNBA. Let's just make, so that's, there's nothing like the platform of the WNBA. Okay. And lifting up the game and the exposure. And so, so Caitlin Clark is only making, couple, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 in salary playing for the Fever, but she has tens of millions of dollars in sponsorships, right? Because of the WNBA, because of that platform, that exposure that generates interest, that generates sales, and that's how it has to go collectively. Now that being said, competition is competition. And it's every woman, man, child, leave the children out. Every man and woman for themselves. Competition is competition. Okay. At the same time, I feel there needs to be more of a sisterhood in the WNBA, specifically around Caitlin Clark. Too many subliminals. Too much snark. Cut that nonsense out. Period. Cut it out. And the teams, if the players can't get the messaging right, they need to be cut off. All right, so this rising tide is not, talk about Caitlin Clark, the player. All right, talk about, and these narratives and all of these convenient conversations around culture, around race, around equity and access. I get all of it, and they're important conversations. But I'm talking about the WNBA itself, the league itself, internally. Rivalries are good. Competition is good. But it's, you know what I mean? Like, there's no favoritism with Caitlin Clark. You know what I mean? There's no, like, she's a baller. Okay? Now, at the same time, you know, she has to take her lumps like everybody else. You know what I mean? She has to take her lumps. And Caitlin Clark, you know, she's fiery. And the other players are fiery. That's good and well. But just keep it about the competition. Caitlin Clark is not getting any special treatment, right? You talk about a special whistle. Then we had a double dribble, right? Caitlin Clark is getting love. Angel Reese is getting love. Cameron Brink is getting love. The new ascending rookies, right? You know, new faces, dynamic branding. You know, this is all good. And the players that it's not good for and that have an axe to grind, all right, I'm saying from a league standpoint, they need to be pushed. Talk that talk on social media. That shouldn't be, you know, a prevailing league narrative. And even like the personal messaging and stuff like that, you know, those voices, all right, fine. You can have your platform and rain down anger and angst and all the rest of that stuff if you want. That's how you want to, if that's what you want to put out there into the ether. But the WNBA, as much as you have the hateration side of it, it needs to be, from the WNBA standpoint, it needs to be enthusiasm, optimism, new player, Caitlin Clark, new players, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, on and on and on. Fresh, competitive, dynamic, right? So that the people that are now like, oh, the WNBA, like, what's that about? Right? Bring them in. Okay, what does the middle class or the casual viewer not have time for? Static, nonsense, negativity. All right? No, I already have enough of that in my life. I'm not going to tune into more of that. I'm interested in things that are uplifting, that are forward-facing, that are progressive, that are going to be helpful for me. Why do I tune in for more negativity and drama? I have that in my life. If I wanted more negativity and drama, I could just continue to deal with the negativity and drama in my life. No, instead I turned on ESPN to see if there was something different that was positive, that was hopeful. So WNBA, push those buttons and less of the negativity and drama. That's going to hurt your bottom line. It's going to hurt your league. You'll be back in the freaking commercial flights, and then you'll be complaining about that nonsense. Get on the same page. Get on board. Compete. It's one thing to compete in between the lines, but there should be a sorority. There should be a sisterhood in the league. The NBA has a fraternity. Right? We compete. We want the championships. But then outside of that, there's only 350 of us on the planet. What good does it you burning each other out, and then we're both out of the league, and we've missed that opportunity for generational wealth and opportunity and access. I said opportunity twice there. Grow. Rising tide, WNBA, to lift all boats. Grow together. Okay? Compete, battle. All right? Nobody's saying that the Detroit Pistons and the Chicago Bulls needed to have dinner together after they duked it out. Okay? But they shouldn't have been, you know, tackling Michael Jordan. They shouldn't be fighting, and they shouldn't, you know what I mean? That doesn't help grow for the entirety. Okay, so that's the WNBA. We're going to do the Stanley Cup quickly. And no disrespect to hockey, no disrespect, but folks, if you love sports and you're missing the Stanley Cup, you're flat out missing out. Playoff hockey, you want to talk about thrilling, you want to talk about edge of your seat, you want to talk about swings, you want to talk about, I mean, nothing is a given, nothing is guaranteed. Team is the first seed, and then this kind of hurt the Boston Bruins. This kind of hurts us in the Commonwealth, but the number one seed in the regular season doing historic things, there's no correlation between the regular season and the postseason in terms of success. That's fascinating and interesting. Then the standpoint that you could have a team that wins 3 games and it looks like the series is over, get out the Stanley Cup, another team wins 3 straight games, Edmonton Oilers, to force a game 7. Got to fly in here, moving around and grooving. Might have to got the fly swatter over there. Usually I do the fly swatter, and then I have a cup that I use where like it's actually a refereeing cup. Shout out to the ECAC from like well over 10 years ago when I started reffing. And so I catch the fly or the spider, and then I just like one of the and then I capture it in the cup and I just toss them out. I think that's what I mean. I don't know. Fortunately, that's for like most. If it's like fortunately, I'm not really good with like the arachnophobia type deals. But most of the creepy crawlers and whatnot, put them in the cup, toss them out. Which they're so light, I don't think that they would like slam into the ground because that would be like fatal. I don't want to. I'm not intending for like to throw them out the window to their demise. I'm just like intending for them like to like kind of like cascade, like the wind breeze them on a tree or whatever. So we got to fly in there. We'll see about getting that fly. Instead of like, but I do have the fly swatter. If it gets to the point where you're not, then the fly swatter's coming. But I am a little concerned about the fly swatter after I saw Stranger Things. I don't want the Demogorgon to come after me. The Demogorgon doesn't like that when you knock the flies out. So you gotta watch out for the Demogorgon. Stanley Cup playoffs, Oilers, Panthers, Game 7, must-see TV. Check that out. Incredibly, and then hockey. I'm not going to mince words. I don't believe in the fighting. I traditionally I get it. You know what I mean? But no, it's odd. And let me just be clear. I respect the fact that they keep the game, and I like the fact that they don't have ties anymore, and they actually have a winner. It goes into overtime, and then they'll have a shootout. So get rid of the ties. But the fighting, it just is not my cup of tea. Only because it's like it's an anomaly to hockey. Now, honestly, it's not bothering anybody, right? So that's my only thing for like, like keeping fighting in hockey, in that it works for hockey. And it's not like you see like these guys beating the brakes off each other and then like it's spilling over off the ice, into like actual violence in life. Actually, interestingly enough, it seems to be just the opposite. In hockey, it's almost like you have the sport, like the freedom of movement, even though there's contact, right? But you have the freedom of movement, contact sport that's like infused with the UFC, MMA, and then like these guys are friends. Like they fist fight, which is kind of, and then afterwards, like this is my friend. It's in the spirit of competition. I don't like the dental costs. Don't really speak to me. So wear a mouthpiece. So don't knock each other's teeth out, but they do that also. But I wear a mouthpiece. Don't knock my teeth out. You know what I mean? A little bruising, black eye, you know what I mean? But don't, you know what I mean? Don't affect, you know what I mean? Don't affect the pearly whites. But so that's my, like with fighting. I'm not a proponent just because it's a part of the game. It's not a good look because no other league has it. And you don't want fighting in sports, but we do have fighting like the UFC and MMA, like those are multi-billion-dollar businesses. It's just, if there has to be one game where fighting is allowed, then just let hockey have it. Let hockey keep it, is my point. Let hockey keep fighting because it frankly just works. You get the aggression out, there's like respect. I'm not aware of like long-term injuries. And I don't want to be aware. Well, if there are, but like it's not connected to like CTE that I'm aware of. It doesn't spill over into real life. And then I think like these guys develop friendships as is like life. Like you battle with people, literally. Sometimes you physically battle with people to get that aggression out. And it develops a level of respect both ways. And then there's like a bond that's formed that's helpful. So that's how I feel about the fighting in hockey. If there has to be one, just keep it to hockey. It works for your game. And then get back to the Stanley Cup Championship. Stanley Cup Championship is Game 7, off the chains. Oilers, Panthers, may the best team win, and just the swings and everything else are just out of this world. Super, super duper cool. Okay, last point, and this is we're going to talk a little bit about this because it needs to be talked about. Major League Baseball has done some things that are awesome. Just in terms of their game, the pitch clock is wonderful. I'm a huge Cape League fan. Didn't get to the Harbor Hawks game tonight against the Orleans Firebirds. I will be there on Monday for the matchup against. Forget who they're facing off on Monday, but I'll certainly be there. I'll also be there on Thursday. Thursday is the Mariners. Love Cape League. Not a baseball guy. In terms of I was afraid of the ball. Couldn't hit the curve. I wish I wasn't afraid of the ball. If I wasn't afraid of the baseball and like getting hit, I would play baseball. And so that's one of these things you got to conquer. And I wish I could have conquered it because baseball's I love fielding. And I have a mitt. I throw the ball around. I just love fielding. I love it. Oh, I love fielding. Can't hit the curve. I wish I could have been a switch hitter. If I would have been a switch hitter, if I could have switch hit, I would still be. I would play baseball to this day, because I just as a righty, like in the way the ball is thrown at that angle inside, I always thought it was going to hit me, right? And I'm a skinnier. Like now, I'm a little bit portly as I'm getting older. I need to work on my abs. But I was like a skinnier guy. Like and the ball hit me in the back, like hit my bone. I was like, oh, we hit you with a rock. It's like, I can't take it. And it happens occasionally, and it hurts, but then like you move on. But I wish I could have been a switch hitter because then I would have been on the other side of the plate and far less likely to get hit. And if it was, I would just have much more reaction time to get the heck out of the way. So if I would have been a switch hitter, I'd be playing baseball to this day. But with baseball, I have to tip my hat to Reggie Jackson and First of all, let me just tip my hat to Major League Baseball. Playing a Major League game at one of the old Negro League fields, awesome. The incorporation of the Negro League stats into Major League Baseball, awesome. I don't think that, I think we just need to, have the Negro League stats in Major League Baseball. I think it's a further conversation in terms of the all-time records, right? Just because, that's like you know what I mean? Like, I think we could have both of them up there, right? Tie, whoever it is for the all-time hits, you have the Major League person here. He's the all-time leader, and this person is also. I don't think it should be one or another, right? I don't think that, like, now Josh Gibson should be, like, the all-time home runs leader over Hank Aaron. I don't agree with that. I agree with having the stats in, but, like, maintaining the balance and the parity. And just recognizing now the Negro League players on that same level. Like, this person had this thousands and thousands of hits, and it's the all-time leader. And this person is also the all-time leader when we incorporate. I don't like them now reforming the record book. That's my feeling now on that. Honestly, tradition matters. And now we have the Negro League tradition, but we shouldn't Babe Ruth, like, you know what I mean? And like Hank Aaron should not now be 2. I don't agree with that. We should have a 1 and a 1A. That's what we should have. Or baseball should have. Shout out to baseball. That's the best Hall of Fame also. Best Hall of Fame, highest standard, not the participation Hall of Fame that the NBA has or basketball has. But it's a real Hall of Fame. Meaning you have to say no to people. A real Hall of Fame says no. I'm sorry. Everybody's not a Hall of Fame. If everybody's great, then nobody's great. Baseball says no. And people are angry and throw tantrums. It is what it is. Everybody's not Babe Ruth. Everybody's not Satchel Paige. Everybody's not Bob Gibson. Everybody's not, the list goes on and on. Everybody's not Tony Gwynn. They're just not. If everybody's Tony Gwynn, nobody's Tony Gwynn. But there's only one Tony Gwynn. Shout out to Tony Gwynn. All right? Late great. Just great guy and just great ambassador for the great game. And just Tony Gwynn reminds me of like the late great Bernie Mac, just gone too soon. Wayman Tisdale, gone too soon. Just great athletes, great players, and just universally just great dudes. Just good dudes. But Reggie Jackson spoke about his experience, and I'm so glad he did. And again, Reggie Jackson retired in the 80s. He retired in 87, right? Won his championships in the 70s, retired in 87, and talked about what it was like being a young minor league prospect in the South in the 60s and 70s, right? 60s and 70s. So I know we're in 2020, but like the 60s and 70s, so I'm in my 40s. Like that's, my parents were born in the 50s. My parents graduated from college in the 70s. Right? So not that long ago, and just, the virulent, in-your-face racism that he had to endure, and it's just kind of it's twofold. First of all, it shows how far we've come, right? We've come a long way, and there's been tremendous progress, and this is not about guilting anybody, but it shows what is still there and intertwined. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your background is. Black, white, yellow, green, or orange. I don't give a doggone. The way that he was treated. Called out of his name. Refused service. Threatened with physical violence. Right? We're talking terrorist. Yes, terrorized. We're going to burn down the hotel if a person of color stays there. Threats of violence if this person, just out and out disrespect and hate speech. Thank goodness we're in a better place. Thank goodness these things have been identified and criminalized, right? And my takeaway is, this kind of coming near the Juneteenth holiday, which is a new necessary federal holiday. These things are wrong. It doesn't matter who does it, right? It doesn't matter who does it. They're dead wrong. It could be from an African American to a Caucasian. It could be from an African American to an Asian American. It can be from a Latino American to an African American. It can be from whatever, whoever. You're wrong. And folks, Jackie Robinson died young. We lost Jackie Robinson far too early. Far too early. Far too early. Okay? Because sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Dead lie. Absolute lie. These things matter. They hurt. They are harbored. They stay with you. It produces a stress on your psyche. And it, you know what I mean? You need, right? These are real. It's real. Okay? The physical aggression, the social, the social aggression, the psychological aggression. Jackie Robinson should still be with us. His wife is, lived on to 100. You know what I mean? How he was, and this is somebody who had wealth, but was a second-class citizen and was fighting for the LeBron James, fighting for the Aaron Judges and the Mike Trouts. Right? Yeah, not just the athletes of color and the athletes to have the standing and the freedom and the place in American life, mostly, but all athletes, all people benefited by the sacrifices of that greatest generation. And Reggie Jackson kind of really brought home and gave perspective, that, just because there's going to be those hateful people out there. There's always going to be them. Right? The poor will always be with you. You're always going to have the mean-spirited, nasty, that refuse to look in the mirror and project their frustrations on others. But it doesn't need to be a central part of American life. It's going to be a part of the human experience. It doesn't need to be a central part of the human experience. In our nation, we've done a tremendous job. We've done a tremendous job in making progress. It's always going to be progress because we're human and we're failed and we're fallible and all the rest of that stuff. And you know what I mean? But these things, they're just wrong. And it doesn't matter who does it. Period. Anybody from any cultural background. Okay, and so Reggie Jackson speaking to it, you know, and it was helpful. It was helpful. Okay, and it just, I think the overall, you know, this is, and call it fair, call it straight. The meritocracy. No matter who you are, Mike Trout, I love Mike Trout. Pride of New Jersey, love Mike Trout. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, whoever, you know, whoever from whatever background. Call it straight, call it fair. The meritocracy. Okay? And what, you know what I mean? We're going to take our country back, and okay, fine. All right? Taking it back to what? What do we, you know what I mean? This is one of the things that we need to take back. Okay? The decency, the humanity, the love. Okay? Take away the bigotry, the violence, the terrorism. Okay? Or make America great again. Greatness is evidenced by a Jackie Robinson. Okay? So we can keep that greatness. All right? And we can continue to deconstruct the things that Jackie Robinson had to endure. Okay? As well as being, you know, on top of being a top flight athlete. All right? And a credit to the nation and a veteran. Okay? So we're going to make something great again. Then you're talking about Jackie Robinson, and you're talking about Reggie Jackson, and you're talking about all the players that he shot at, you know, Rolly Fingers and everybody that helped Reggie Jackson get to those experiences. That's the greatness that we need. Again, what needs to be dismantled and deconstructed and booted is the bigotry, prejudice, bias, and then, you know, out and out violence, crime associated with those things. Fear of the other, projection of frustrations onto the other, cowardice, frankly, cowardly behavior, criminal behavior. Okay? Right? That's not greatness. Okay? That's not American exceptionalism. That can go. And Reggie Jackson speaking to it highlighted we're still working together, the black, the white, and everything in between. Shout out to Reggie Jackson. I really appreciate those words. And you know what I mean? You know, and just, you know, for me, myself, and, you know, it matters. These things matter. Mend those fences. Mend those fences, people. I need to mend some fences. Mend the fences. Because, you know, you see, and somebody like a Reggie Jackson, who's famous and rich, and he's done well for himself, and, you know, he's a grand old man. He's a grand old man now, and he's in his tender old age, and he has resources, and he has respect, right? Those things still resonate. And it's been decades. Okay? Right? When we go off the track and we do those evil things and we do those mean things off, you know what I mean? It you know, it stays. Okay? So we should do less of those. Me, myself, and I, and then as much as everybody, as much as we can do. Folks, thank you so much for being with us. Sand City Sports back in effect. Summertime is the right time. Okay, we're on all the different streaming platforms. We're back, baby. You know, I'm just thrilled. And of course, anybody that wants to join can join. Jump on into the, you know what I mean? You're welcome. Okay, thankful. And that's all we have for this episode. We'll see you next time, folks. Peace.